chosen one. This moment is not random. You didn't just happen to land here. You were meant to see this. Something greater guided you. Something that knows exactly what's inside you, even when the world tries to make you forget. You felt it deep down. The tension, the shift, the sense that you were made for more. That's not your imagination. That's your calling waking up. You're not ordinary. You've been walking with weight most people can't see, because what's on your life is rare. And now, it's your season to rise. You're not just surviving anymore, you're stepping into alignment. So don't shrink, don't doubt, don't hold back. Everything you've been through was shaping you for this. You're not late, you're right on time. Let's go. There was always an internal pulse, subtle yet unshakable, that whispered you weren't meant to blend into the backdrop. That silent knowing is no longer hidden. It's now finding form in real time. What's unfolding isn't just a shift in material status. It's the unveiling of a commission far greater. This isn't about stockpiling fortune. This is about stepping into an inheritance of impact, rerouting generations, sowing into futures, and constructing foundations that endure. What you're stepping into is more than a financial upturn. It's a mantle moment wrapped in calling. It's not defined by statements or digits, but by a rare weight of purpose. It carries with it vision, healing, and the permission to pioneer. Let's unravel this one phase at a time. But before we chart this path, anchor yourself. This isn't fleeting inspiration. It's a clarion call disguised as content. What you're experiencing is a financial awakening woven into destiny. If your heart resonates, don't ignore the nudge. Engage. Align. This moment isn't coincidental. It's encoded with meaning, a signal between you and what's been set in motion long before now. Wealth is simply the current. The mission is the vessel. The path ahead isn't wide or well-tread. It narrows for a reason. Only those prepared internally will navigate its demands. The full depth of what's here isn't absorbed on a single listen. Those who linger, who digest every layer, will gain more than insight. They'll be handed tools to reconstruct lineage. What's being offered is alive, not a speech, but a layered transmission. Each return uncovers more, reveals deeper, and refines clearer. This isn't preparation for mere success. It's calibration for stewardship. Because the real fortune isn't the numbers, it's what they're assigned to fund. If your heart overflows with divine love, now is the moment to let it shine. Click the super thank you button on YouTube and give $50 or more to help carry God's light to others. Your gift will bless not only your life, but countless others. You are part of His sacred plan. Your kindness may be the answer to someone's prayer. Share your blessings and honor His kingdom. May His grace guide you always. Let's begin with a truth few will tell you. The design was in you from day one. No matter the static of your upbringing, the struggle etched in the atmosphere, or the patterns passed down like heirlooms, you carried a blueprint coded with difference. It didn't matter what surrounded you. Something within defied the narrative. There are those whose journey was never meant to follow the worn paths. Their potential wasn't extinguished by silence or buried by circumstance. It was simply reserved. Carried within from the beginning was a code, an unseen design that couldn't be erased by noise or neglect. What seemed delayed was only waiting for the alignment of readiness and revelation. The imprint wasn't handed out broadly because the weight it held wasn't meant for the many. It was tailored for the rare. This internal architecture was not a random trait. It was placed intentionally, knowing the eyes that carried it would witness imbalance, would see wealth misdirected, misunderstood, even weaponized. The atmosphere echoed with lack, and the tension of unmet needs was constant. But even through the clamor of confusion, something persistent lived within, the instinct that a different route existed, even if no one around had ever walked it. That quiet conviction bred questions where others found resignation. While the world repeated its cycles, a silent architect was sketching escape routes in the heart. The hunger for freedom wasn't rooted in fantasy, but in a memory your spirit carried from before. A blueprint of purpose that knew wealth wasn't the prize, but the provision for a higher plan. Make your impact eternal. Join now and be a light in someone's darkness. Attraction to abundance wasn't born from vanity. It was a pull from within, not for possession, but for transformation. Resources were never the goal. They were the tools. Tools to build doors where none existed, to shift whole landscapes, to end inherited scarcity and spark legacies that echo through time. Existence was never meant to revolve around survival. The assignment has always been expansion, not simply to inhabit space, but to reimagine it, not merely to receive, but to become a conduit for change. The end game wasn't escape, it was exposure, and then reconstruction. The past wasn't a punishment, it was preparation. Lack didn't cling because of failure. It lingered because the stage was still being built. The calling needed character before currency. The delay was discipline. The delay was design. Capacity had to grow before flow could be trusted. What you carry isn't just a dream. It's a whole framework for transformation. Some chase progress for praise, but the ones built for assignment don't need applause. The foundation comes from within, grounded, steady, anchored. While others move with impulse, you move with insight. That shift in the atmosphere when you walk in. That's not charm. That's the quiet force of alignment. The road behind wasn't random. Each moment of strain, each closed path, each overlooked opportunity wasn't failure. It was formation. It was the shaping of one who would one day hold resource like it was sacred, not shiny. Now what once looked like fragments has become instruction, and what once hurt now makes sense. Looking for purpose and peace? Hit subscribe and start the journey. Trust is not freely given. It is earned in obscurity, forged in the crucible of discipline when no one is watching. The unseen choices, the quiet sacrifices, the decision to remain upright when shortcuts whispered promises, these became the evidence. Not for applause, but for permission. What now approaches isn't a random reward. It's a response to how consistently you honored the unseen. Before the upward shift, there had to be a stretch. Before you handled provision, you had to understand deprivation. The empty spaces weren't neglect, they were calibration. You weren't discarded, you were being drafted for something heavier. These moments of lack were never meant to destroy you. They were sculpting something deeper: perspective, restraint, intention. It takes a different kind of faith to keep walking when every number tells you to stop, to believe in fullness when you only see fragments, to hold on to vision when logic says, release it. Others seem to flow without friction, but your path required precision. Every misstep revealed a principle, every pressure point a hidden lesson. Delay was never dead time, it was active instruction. Every closed channel rerouted your understanding. What felt like resistance was refinement. You weren't being denied. You were being shown how to navigate overflow with reverence. It wasn't about what was withheld, it was about what was being installed within. Misuse had to become visible, not so you could judge, but so you could discern. Money in the wrong hands loses meaning. Comfort, gained without clarity, dissolves character. These temporary droughts made space for permanent wisdom. Wealth doesn't adjust your identity, it clarifies it. Scarcity exposed your motives so surplus wouldn't inflate them. Make your impact eternal. Join now and be a light in someone's darkness. Now, what you value has evolved. You see provision not as proof of worth, but as a resource for purpose. The weight isn't in the number, it's in the reason. Strategy has replaced sentiment. Generosity flows with thought. Investments speak to the future. Every decision is filtered through vision, not vanity. The pursuit has shifted. What matters now isn't how loud your life looks, but how deep your impact travels. What once attracted you no longer has a pull. The hunger is for significance, expressed through movement, not display. The goal is no longer just breakthrough, but inheritance. Not noise, but legacy. The internal clutter had to be cleared. Entitlement couldn't come along for the ride. Reaction had to become response. Insecurity had to be unlearned. Small failures were allowed not to shame, but to sharpen. You weren't being rejected. You were being refined for dimensions you hadn't yet stepped into. And through it all, nothing went unnoticed. Every decision, every quiet act of obedience, every generous move, despite your own need, was recorded, not in books, but in the fabric of your becoming. Now, you're not just positioned to receive, you're prepared to multiply, not just to access resource, but to wield it with wisdom. Elevation isn't always handed to the loudest voice or the one with the longest resume. Sometimes, it finds the one who stayed consistent when no one clapped, the one who built quietly with scraps, while others waited for blueprints. This kind of readiness isn't certified by credentials, it's revealed in how little was honored like much. And now, the weight of what's arriving will not be squandered. It will be multiplied, protected, and aimed, because it's not just provision, it's purpose wrapped in resource. If your heart overflows with divine love, now is the moment to let it shine. Click the super thank you button on YouTube and give $50 or more to help carry God's light to others. Your gift will bless not only your life, but countless others. You are part of His sacred plan. Your kindness may be the answer to someone's prayer. Share your blessings and honor His kingdom. May His grace guide you always. Where many are praised for accumulating numbers, a different recognition is being given. Beyond what charts can measure, a new role is emerging. One who governs finances not by trends, but by divine clarity. The world might call it wealth, but what's actually being released is strategy, designed for impact, not indulgence. Now that the losses have taught their lessons, increase can be entrusted. The true edge isn't in currency, it's in calling. The power doesn't come from digits, but from what rests beneath the surface. Rooms shift not from popularity, but from posture. This is not about gaining influence. It's about carrying something that can't be seen, but can't be denied. What unnerves opposition isn't affluence, it's alignment. There's nothing new about riches, but when depth meets resource and the assignment is obeyed more than applauded, it disrupts darkness. Attacks intensified because the influence you carry is rooted in obedience, not optics. The targeting wasn't random. Identity was challenged because it carried too much authority. Connections were tested because wrong alliances could dilute the mission. Influence wasn't the threat, trajectory was. You weren't feared for being visible. You were feared for being effective. The shift happened when purpose became personal. When destiny wasn't just something to imagine, but something to protect. The difference wasn't talent, It was recognition. Once the understanding took root, that what you carried was consecrated, the past no longer had power to dictate the future. The hunger now is for insight, not image. The request is for clarity, not clout. What's being built isn't meant to just elevate one, it's meant to set many free. What was forged in silence is about to echo in spaces that demand accountability. What's coming is not for decoration, it's for disruption. Foresight flows not from intellect, but from impartation. It's why timing bends in your favor and resistance rises without cause. The wiring is different. The sensitivity, the depth, the way you feel what others ignore. That's not weight, that's instruction. This path was never for comfort, it was carved for consequence. The aim was never luxury, it was legacy, to enter places that shape culture and flip systems, to be steady enough to walk where others posture, to break ancient patterns without needing a stage. So now, with nothing to prove and everything to fulfill, what rests on your life is gaining visibility. Not for status, but for structure. Not to gather applause, but to release answers. What formed you in fire is now forming futures through your obedience. This is about governance, not gain. Some are assigned not just to receive breakthrough, but to bankroll it for others. Resource in your hands is not for performance, it's for purpose. It's the answer to someone's prayer, the structure behind a shelter, the seed of systems that repair what was once torn. What you carry disrupts darkness, not through volume, but through intention. It builds quietly, but leaves nothing untouched. The mission on your life carries a force that restores and multiplies. When alignment meets abundance, the ground shakes. This convergence silences the forces that once profited from confusion. What's being unlocked through your obedience dismantles what's held generations in delay. This is far deeper than finances. It's about rewriting what your family believed was possible. Not just being the first to rise, but the first to do it clean, to walk the high road without cutting corners, to build with clarity instead of chaos. This isn't ambition, it's a divine uprising. You're not replicating broken models, you're discarding them. Integrity is your currency. No need for masks, manipulation, or masquerades. This expansion doesn't demand your compromise, it demands your consecration. You've been appointed to model elevation that doesn't lose its soul on the climb. This isn't just personal, it's generational. You've been positioned to stop patterns that wore your ancestors down. What once consumed homes, lack, fear, limitation, now meets resistance through your life. You are the interruption, you are the shift, you are the one chosen to reframe the script. This reformation touches everything. The things you were never taught, you're about to teach. The wisdom you had to dig for, you will pass on freely. You won't just create income, you'll establish insight. You'll craft ecosystems where wealth is grounded, giving is intentional, and faith governs every decision. And you'll give without guilt, with clarity, with joy, because you now understand the difference between inheritance and possession. What lasts isn't written on deeds, it's engraved in decisions. Legacy, to you, is no longer about what's owned, but about what's activated. Mental frameworks built on survival are dissolving. The internal narrative that whispered, "not enough," has lost its voice. The internal ceiling has shattered. The moment you said yes to alignment, old beliefs began to decay. This is no longer about watching others win. This is about building with boldness and precision, rooted in truth, not fear. Elevation won't isolate you. It will include others. You will rise as a signal, not a spectacle. You will prove that spiritual alignment doesn't require financial lack. That moral clarity and marketplace dominance can exist in the same vessel. That wholeness and wealth are not opposites. What's unfolding isn't just proof of favor, it's a prototype. You are becoming the evidence that sacred success is possible, that with the right heart, the right posture, and the right motive, one life can ripple through an entire generation and leave systems changed. Some are rising as proof that spiritual clarity and material abundance can not only coexist, they can converge for a greater cause. This isn't about being the first with wealth in your family, it's about being the first with wisdom for how to wield it. What's beginning with your hands won't end with them. It will extend, grow, replicate itself in others. It's generational momentum, not just individual elevation. Those coming after you won't just know how to earn, they'll know how to uproot obstacles. Your life will become a map, not because of what you achieved, but because of the posture with which you achieved it. You've chosen alignment over applause, structure over speed, foundation over flash. This isn't coincidence. This is the unfolding of something long set in motion. You are the change in the narrative, the turning point, the hinge that reroutes the story, the echo of a promise, now made visible in a new lineage. And this transformation, it doesn't ride on popularity, it rides on submission. What's next won't be confirmed by a crowd. You weren't elected, you were appointed. And with that appointment comes tension, because the instructions won't always make sense to the ones who weren't shown what you've seen. You'll decline what once felt comfortable. You'll walk away from what no longer nourishes. And people will notice. They'll comment on your shift. They'll interpret your silence as distance. They'll try to name what they don't understand. But the truth is, they weren't handed your responsibility. The weight isn't theirs. The vision isn't theirs. And the clarity you're moving with isn't up for negotiation. What lies ahead doesn't require agreement. It demands trust. The kind of trust that builds before it makes sense. The kind of obedience that doesn't wait for applause. Many times, your yes will look like solitude, but solitude will become the space where strategies are whispered. You're being called to resist noise disguised as guidance, to stop shrinking your scale for someone else's comfort, to stop filtering your instructions through voices not designed to carry your outcome. Some won't get it, and they're not supposed to. If your heart overflows with divine love, now is the moment to let it shine. Click the super thank you button on YouTube and give $50 or more to help carry God's light to others. Your gift will bless not only your life, but countless others. You are part of His sacred plan. Your kindness may be the answer to someone's prayer. Share your blessings and honor His kingdom. May His grace guide you always. New methods are coming, structures that bypass what's familiar, insights that require faith over formula, assignments that exceed your current resources, but not your calling. And you've endured too much to stop now. You've been stretched, pressed, refined, not for survival, but for release. What you've gained wasn't just experience, it was clarity. You've learned to rely on what can't be charted. You've been sustained when logic ran out. So this next level won't be accessed through advice. It will be opened through surrender. Because divine backing doesn't follow fear, it follows alignment. The kind of alignment that doesn't ask the crowd for permission. That moves on a whisper. That builds before there's proof. That walks forward without needing validation. You've been marked not for attention, but for assignment. This isn't about chasing noise. It's about responding to instruction. Every step forward now requires a precision that can't afford distraction. You'll have to guard your clarity, shield your focus, and reject what contradicts the divine voice. Because one moment of full surrender will open what a decade of hustle never could. Greatness is being assigned to those who understand that divine elevation isn't earned through image, it's unlocked through inner alignment. What you're stepping into doesn't require applause, credentials, or curated networks. It demands one thing: full, unwavering response to divine instruction. Not the loud voice of culture, not the fear of missing out, just one voice, clear, sacred, and constant. Wealth has never been the destination. It's simply one of the tools being placed in your hands for a deeper objective. It's not being given to inflate comfort. It's designed to activate change. It's here to repair, uplift, restore. You know the depths of lack. You've felt the stretching, the restraint, the survival. And now, on the other side, you understand. It was training for trust. What's being handed to you carries assignment. This increase isn't about accumulation, it's about allocation. Blueprints are being entrusted to you that others only dream of. Not for the sake of titles, but to resource the mission. To back those who carry vision but lack support. To construct answers where only questions once existed. This isn't about hoarding. This is about healing. Legacy won't be measured in vaults, but in lives transformed. You've already proven you won't turn blessings into idols. That's why more is being released. Because what comes through you flows beyond you. This next tier of responsibility will require you to lead with balance. Not driven by pride, not swayed by noise, but anchored in clarity and compassion. You will operate as a force that disrupts cycles and builds bridges. Bridges out of debt, out of fear, out of survival. The pushback you faced financially wasn't coincidental, it was tactical. Because when money touches your hands, it won't stay in idle. It will fund the very things darkness tried to silence. You're not about performance, you're about permanence. What you give won't fade, it will echo. You've been shaped for more than just acquisition. You're an architect of impact, a trusted distributor of vision, a vessel that turns provision into purpose. This is what sets you apart. Not the wealth itself, but what you do with it. This expansion is also influence. Not the kind bought by likes or followers, but the kind that bends policies, opens spaces, and empowers change. You've passed through humility, stewardship, and sacrifice. Now comes the flow, because now you're ready to release with intention. And when it arrives, you won't need to advertise it. You won't need to prove anything. Your results will speak a language louder than validation. Your consistency will preach louder than your voice. Your impact will draw attention, not to your name, but to the one who led you. This isn't just capital, it's a commissioning. You're stepping into dimensions of reach, wisdom, and authority specifically tailored to the weight you've carried. This isn't about spotlight, it's about systems being reborn through you. What you're about to manage is more than profit, it's prophetic fulfillment. The moment has been waiting, not on your talent, but on your timing. Not on your effort, but on your alignment. And now, the conditions are set. So make room within. What's coming doesn't thrive in confusion. It needs clarity, structure, stillness. Prepare your vision, fortify your plans, center your spirit. Because what's being entrusted to you must be handled with precision, not for the sake of proving anyone wrong, but for the sole purpose of fulfilling what was always right. And when you step into what others called unreachable, you won't just occupy space, you'll stretch possibility for every eye watching. You'll be the example that says, obedience builds, what talent alone never could.